Yo, 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 it's Josh here, and I'm really excited to announce that Arri RPC now supports Swift clients. And so just to give you a little showcase here, you'll see that I've got a procedure named say hello. I've got some data models, and then over here in Xcode, you'll see that I'm calling that procedure. So if I run this, you'll see that once it launches, when we click it, we get a hello John from server. And then if I update this, let's just update it. There we go. Then if I go back over to the client, you'll see that we now have an error here. So we'll update this. And then if I rerun it, there we go, it's working. And the same thing too, if I move this procedure to somewhere else, I don't know, you'll see in Xcode, we get an error here. If I add a new procedure, let's, I don't know, add. There we go, we've got our new procedure added, and you'll see that it is now immediately available in Swiftland. And this works both in Xcode with Xcode projects, and it works with just the Swift compiler if you were using Swift on Linux. By the way, YouTube, you should be grateful that I had to open this piece of crap here to get all of this working. So be grateful. But anyway, so I'm really excited. So that's a quick showcase of Arri now working with Swift. So now that that's done, I want to talk about some next steps for Arri. Okay, so now we basically have all of the client libraries you would need to target any major front-end language. You got TypeScript for web, you've got Swift and Kotlin for mobile, as well as Dart, and they're also for desktop as well. And then you've got Rust stuff as well. So this means that now, if you've got an Arri server, you can automatically generate type-safe clients while you're updating your server code without any extra effort. So now let's talk about, well, what's next? Well, now there are a handful of other clients I want to finish. I want to do a Python and Go client. But really, the next priority I have is we need another server implementation, right? A TypeScript server by itself ain't enough. So I want to prioritize getting a higher performance language as a backend implementation for Arri RPC. So the two that I've been looking at are Go and Rust. And if you've got any suggestions that you think that should be added, to be a front runner, you should comment. But I think that these are two probably pretty good prospects for the next server implementation. Now with Rust, it's pretty straightforward. Rust has a lot of mechanisms for metaprogramming. So for example, if we're given a struct, we basically just need to make a proc macro that once that proc macro gets expanded, it'll implement functions that convert that struct to the intermediate representation. It handles parsing from JSON and serializing, right? The same thing can happen too for our procedures. We basically would just define functions that accept parameters and return a result, and then we tag them with a macro. That macro can also receive additional parameters for defining, maybe where you want the endpoint to be, maybe what HTTP method you want it to accept, but all of this is pretty well-treaded ground in Rustland. Leptos has server functions, for example, and they work pretty good. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Making a proc macro is not simple, but this is all stuff that's pretty par for the course in the Rust ecosystem. Now, unfortunately, with Go, it's not going to be as straightforward. Go has very limited metaprogramming features, no macro system, their type system is really limited. In addition to that, there are no discriminated unions. Now, typically, the way people in Go get around this is they rely on code generation. And so Arri will likely have to do the same, which means there's going to end up being some generated Go file that comes from basically us using a go generate command that parses the metadata from your server and outputs stuff to register your procedures, identify which structs are parameters, which ones are responses, and so forth. Now, this could still look kind of similar to the Rust implementation. We could still tag our structs and our procedures with comments. Now, this isn't 100% common in the Go ecosystem. It's really common to have annotations for fields, not as much so for structs and functions, but this is something we could do, right? We could tag it with some kind of comment, and then when we run Go generate, it'll take care of converting the struct to its Arri type definition, which is the intermediate representation, and it'll take care of registering the procedure. The bigger problem, though, is, as I said before, Go doesn't really have any discriminating unions. So, for example, say you have a polymorphic type like a shape. In TypeScript, it would be really easy to represent different kinds of shapes, right? You got a rectangle, circle, triangle, whatever. In addition, in Rust, you have basically enums, and enums can have their own fields. So it's really simple to represent these subtypes of a parent type. Go doesn't have any mechanisms for that, which means that basically Arri is going to have to decide on what convention to use. Now, there's multiple workarounds for these limitations on Go's type system, but in order to support tagged unions, Arri is going to have to basically, for Arri servers, come up with the Arri convention for defining tagged unions and going to have to enforce it. And so if you have any input on what you think that should look like, feel free to reach out to me either in the comment section or via the GitHub. Which brings me to my last update, which is if we go over to the Arri repo, we now have a contributors guide. So if you're interested in contributing to this project, I have written up a guide that will help walk you through how to start working with the repo, the build tools that you need, how to run tests, how to build the source code, and all of that fun stuff. In addition to that, I've also set up an Arri Discord server. So if you need, if you just have a quick question, right now it's just me. I'm the only one there. But if you've got a quick question, I'll be chilling there and you can shoot me a message. And yeah, so that concludes the little update that I have for you guys today. Hopefully in the coming months, we'll have some pretty good progress on an either Rust or a Go server implementation. And you can vote in the comments which one you prefer and what you think would be better. I think both languages have pros for why you would want to maybe pick that one first. And I think both of them have some cons. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So I want to thank you for watching and peace.